if your job is on a screen, that's gone. So what do you do now? There's an opportunity for Australia to be a place where lots of data centers live. And that's because we have a relatively low drama liberal Western democracy. Like, we can just carpet bomb everything with solar and batteries, and there's lots of space for that. A lot of these batteries aren't being installed properly. It's impossible to me that we went from installing like 100 batteries a day to 2,500 batteries a day. Like, the value of my business and my profit and loss statement every month is 100% dependent upon like the reliability and trading performance of.
Presented by Your Energy Answers.
Welcome to a very interesting podcast. I've got again with us Dean Spaccavento from Reposit. He has been here 2.5 years ago when we just kind of started the channel, and definitely got more subscribers now. And Dean has a whole range of things that he really knows a lot about. There's AI. There is the VPP, the electricity market. And also we want to talk about a product that really has underpinned the success of his business. You'll find out a bit later. Welcome to the Your Energy Answers podcast.
Thank you, Marcus. Nice to be here again.
Thank you. So we just started talking in the break before about AI, and there was a bloke in the US that's kind of mapped all the jobs and worked out how likely you are to be stuffed, is it?
Not stuffed. So his name's Andre Karpathy. He did it only 2 or 3 days ago. And he's provided an index for how badly affected a particular employment role is to be affected by AI. And, no surprises, software engineering's 9, massively affected. And then, we're just commenting, like, electricians are 2. When I was talking to Leonard on the other side of the camera around, we've both got kids the same age, and we're trying to work out, well, where do we push our kids? Like, my mum and dad were always like, well, you're going to get a good degree in electrical engineering or computer engineering and finance. And like, if your job is on a screen, that's gone. So, what do you do now? And so we're talking about, I still think physics, electrical engineering. Leonard mentioned philosophy. I think a trade is useful. It's going to be interesting to know what us humans will do as a cohort.
But I would say the blood, sweat and tear jobs, the ones the plumber having to dig the pipes and all that, I mean, that's still needed, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you look at the sort of breakdown that he did, the Karpathy breakdown on the employment, those are the ones that are like got 2s and 3s next to them. So that's what's going to be around for us.
Right. But it's interesting, when I look for leadership in the current government, the whole AI thing, I haven't heard it debated much in Parliament. There is not much kind of feeling of knowing what's around the corner. In some way, it reminds me of the whole thing with the petrol. I mean, not having reserves sufficiently here in Australia, when we're an island, you could kind of in hindsight say, oh, that was a bit of an oversight. When it comes to AI, doing the future planning of where the country is going as a whole, the whole identity of the country, and what AI means for it, no idea. Haven't heard it debated.
I think there's like a 2-speed thing going on very clearly in the software world where I typically live, and my friends are like, we are seeing the effects of it immediately. Like, valuations of our companies are tanking, not mine, thank God, because I'm in electricity now. But the effects of particularly AI on software and what it costs now to get a piece of software written. And how many engineers you need and that kind of stuff. That is becoming like real. It's no longer a theoretical conversation. Like, there are job losses, and there
1,600
at WiseTech. At Atlassian, yeah, that's right. And like WiseTech did a bunch as well, and and everyone else will do it. Like, we use a lot of that generative AI stuff at Reposit, and we have for a long time. And we've just noticed over the last sort of like 15 months, it's getting really good. Like, we can be a better team with it. We never put on large numbers of engineers, and that is a good thing now for us. And the only reason we didn't do that early was because we have relatively small numbers of very, very, very good engineers, and that's exactly the place you want to be, because you can flesh out your team now pretty well with these AI guys, these little agents.
Wow. But talking about the AI and the data centers and all that, I read a report recently that all the data centers planned for Australia, when you add them all up, it's 7 times or 8 times the total power consumption of Canberra,
Yeah.
or about half of New South Wales.
Yeah.
Now, if you throw all that electricity demand into the grid, when we already have issues with grid voltage and all of that, does that mean the AI centers get built, the infrastructure behind it is not their problem, and then we all pay bigger electricity bills because we as the end consumer have to build the grid?
Okay. So I spent a lot of time on thinking about this one and talking to people on this one. So I think I'll go I'll take a different tack. There's an opportunity for Australia to be a place where lots of data centers live. And that's because we have a relatively low drama liberal Western democracy. We're able to build things. We're actually pretty good at building things. Costs us a bit more than everywhere else, but we get it done and we do it at pretty good quality. We have large amounts of land, and we have a huge amount of energy potential. Like we can just carpet bomb everything with solar and batteries, and there's lots of space for that. Our transmission networks are a little underbuilt, but we're kind of dealing with that. But like these AI data centers also need very, very strong fiber optic connections, and we have very, very, very strong fiber connections across the continent and well into networked across the globe.
So we've got big cables going there.
Massive. Everyone, like large amounts of investment in cables, some of it to do with our relationship with the US. A lot of it.
What kind of data is going through that one? But anyway.
Yep.
We're not mentioning Pine Gap.
Well, that's why the fiber goes straight across the country, perhaps. Like I'm only speculating. But you know, we're a naturally very, very good spot for data centers. And I think that, you know, I think it's a thing that we should do as a country. I think we should do it. And there's 2 things stopping it. One of them is the energy infrastructure, which we'll talk about a lot more. And the other one about it is the ability to train AI models in Australia. And that's a tricky thing. And it's basically around how fair is it to use other people's content without paying them or taking fair use or whatever it is. And I think that's a conversation that was started and then was shut down very quickly. And I think that the opportunities available to make it so that it is fair for people to use people's content to train AI models will allow Australia to take this position that is being handed to us on a platter if we can just get our shit together.
All right. But in the US, I hear some of the data centers have affected the water pressure surrounding the homes and all that.
Yeah.
But is that a different technology because they're cooling it with water and we don't necessarily do that? Or do we have that same problem as well?
You can do air-to-air cooling. There's data center in Marsden Park, not far from here, is air-to-air cooled. So the chips are liquid cooled and then you have to get rid of that heat somewhere. But you can do it with air. You can take it to the air base and you don't need to like use town water or river water or whatever. It does take more space, but that's okay because in Australia we have lots of space, right? And the reason it takes more space is because the machine's are loud, and you just don't want to put like people right next to it. But in the US, they don't have the low population density that we have. Like it's the towns are everywhere. Right. Here we don't have that. There's lots of space.
Right. Okay. But you haven't really answered my question.
Yeah.
If the data centers, look, I know a particular local government area that they built a data center and they walked in with a $20 million check for all the facilities and the 94 contributions and all that. And the council was very happy to get that cash and they possibly build a youth center with it and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not going into the infrastructure for the electricity, because that's council got nothing to do with
That's
that.
right. It doesn't work that way.
So I mean, maybe some of that money should have gone more towards that infrastructure building. Are we actually then going to cop the extra bill on the more poles and wires needed to support the data centers? So we are the bunnies and paying indirectly and cross-subsidizing these data centers.
So there's a yes.
I know you're pro data centers, so you're probably trying to wiggle-waggle out of that answer.
I won't wiggle out of the answer. So the way there's two costs that are going to come if we connect a bunch of data centers for electricity. The first cost is the extra demand for electricity at any point in time. So that'll affect the wholesale energy market. The second cost is the cost of the network infrastructure to get that energy into the data centers. they are both going to cost money. The way that the electricity networks are paid to build electricity networks does put the cost onto consumers, right? It's called the regulated asset base. Electricity networks love building electricity networks because that's how they grow their business. They get a bigger regulated asset base. They build more network. They get a bigger regulated asset base, and they get paid for that regulated asset base every year. So the networks would love these data centers, want them connected. But it's very clear, top to bottom, government, federal, state, distribution networks, everybody, that burdening consumers with the cost of data centers is the wrong thing to do. And so the Australian Energy Regulator has come up with a bunch of sort of policy actions around, listen, it's not fair to burden all the consumers with this. You need to basically chip in particular ways. There's a lot of conversations going on around that. The Australian Energy Markets Commission has done the same thing.
There are a lot of conversations going on about that.
Yeah.
But, for example, the Victorian government got a special minister who wines and dines all the data centre people to get them done and approved ASAP. So by the time that policy is developed to how to kind of contribute it, probably all these data centres trying to get their applications through very quickly, because if one day there's a contribution required and we haven't right now developed it yet, well, I got mine approved. I'm with existing development. Bad luck. So they're all trying to push through quickly now before that gets developed, so they don't have to make the contribution.
It doesn't move as fast as that. Like none of these, the grid connections of very large loads, like, you know, you're talking 100 megawatts to a gigawatt, those connections don't move quickly. Like there's a lot of like regulatory and distribution and transmission network machinations. Like it's not a take someone to dinner and they grant you the grid connection kind of thing. All the engineers need to look at like, what are the voltage sag implications on it? Like these data centers, especially with the NVIDIA chips in them, need to be connected to two independent feeders. So like there's a lot of easement work. It's not like getting a solar system connected at all. It's a long process.
Well, I just want to see a politician come out and say anything that's impacting on infrastructure, you try 15 trucks on that road, there's got to be some contribution towards the future road damage. Same thing with the network. And I just feel like we're possibly gotten it upside down where the data centers get built and now people start calculating, go, well, one was okay, but 52, then there's a cumulative effect.
That's what's going on at the moment. Like, what is the contribution? And it's got to do with long and short run marginal costs. It's the economists at the Australian Energy Markets Commission and the AER, Australian Energy Regulator, that are trying to work out how to work this out.
Yeah, trying. Yeah,
they're trying to work it out. They're going to have to, because if they don't, the backlash towards data centers will mean there will be no data centers.
By then, no. The thing is working. The network has been increased, and then suddenly we get another 28% on the 1st of July, and that'll kill our local small business even further. And it's all after the train has left the station, because that's how it's been already in the past.
The train is very, very long, and like the issue will be like any data centers that get built
is very long.
In the next 18 months, they will be the beginning of the data centers. Like if Australia can prove itself to be a good place to put data centers down, it will attract more and more and more data centers and the amount of money that comes out of these things for hosting and feeding and watering the chips is insane. It'll be a lot of cash. The entire economy, global economy, especially the knowledge work global economy, is going to be based upon the generation of tokens. And a token is...
Yeah, but you say that, but you know how when I bought my first computer, I treated the computer like I treated the old black and white TV. You know, it was there. It should last 10 years. If it was broken, there was a repairman in town. You brought your TV to it, and it was an asset like your car and your house. And I treated my first computer like that. I was really annoyed when Windows 95 became whatever, something else, and I had to all over start again. I thought, oh, by now I must have reached the limit. And it never stopped. And it's the same with solar panels. 175 watt, we said 250. Oh, well, that's where it is. And then they keep on reinventing. And you keep on, I've got the latest technology. No, I don't. Well, isn't it the same with these data centers? They're going to rip all these chips out in a couple of years' time and re-chip it again and all of that kind of stuff. Nothing stands still.
That's okay. Like the chips, like it's about $5 million for 10 megawatts of chips. And in the context of a data center that maybe costs $500 or $600 million. Like when it's all said and done, rechipping it is just not an issue.
But how do they make their money? I mean, I go into chat, I get a free answer. I don't even realize how much energy has gone into that answer.
Yeah, they're loss leading at the moment, right? How do they make their money? They raise lots and lots of money from other people at the moment, and but eventually, like I think it's like at least you can see it happening with software already. Like the value of however many software engineers they get displaced as a result of making the AIs generate tokens to generate code, like that economic value will go at least partially to the operators and the fuelers and the caretakers of data centers. And I think you want those data centers in Australia running on our electricity system where we're able to then build a whole lot of generation as a result and a whole lot of network as a result. Like if we can get that balance right, where because we have big stable loads in these data centers spread out around our population centers, which is where the data centers want to be, we should be able to overbuild our systems such that Australians will pay less for electricity. Because instead of building a little bit of something and then just hoping that, demand creeps up, where the demand is coming. It comes in a big block in 1 year and then another big block in 2 years and 3 years and 4 years. I think we can anchor electricity system development on data center builds. And I think we can do it for the next 15 years. And I think that that's the kind of like thinking and planning that we should be doing rather than just, this data center needs a grid connection. How are we going to do that? What kind of network will we need to augment? How much is it going to cost? I think it should be a nation building thing where we go, we're going to build a fit for purpose electricity network for data centers.
Right. Gee, you're very optimistic here for Australia being smart about this stuff, because let's look at the battery rebate here at the moment. Okay, so we talk about nation building and we're talking about doing it smartly, and I'd say data centers, when you look at the battery rebate, that's a really big juggernaut. When you look at the battery looks big, but against data centers as a whole, the battery rebate is small. Now, how did we get it so wrong? In the sense that the minister came out and promised us 1 million batteries for $2,300 on average, because it was $2.3 billion divided by 1 million is $2,300 rebate for everybody. It was a reasonable rebate. And we reached the $2.3 billion being spent, but we ended up with 250,000 batteries. So that's kind of 75% of the number, at least. I know the capacity's gone bigger, but 75% of the number just died in the ditch somewhere in the calculation. Somebody was pretty wrong in the kind of, and now we had to spend another $4.9 billion to add to it. Now you're in that space. You possibly meet the minister. You want to still have him buy you the coffee, but just give me your honest opinion where we went wrong.
I think that the battery subsidy as formulated by the people that formulated it were modelling it based upon a Tesla Powerwall 2. And they did not see
in the past,
and they did not see stackable batteries in the market. And the thing with stackable batteries is that it allows you
to stack,
and so everyone got stacked, and continues to be.
Do you
stacked.
want another 2 batteries with that?
Yeah, absolutely. At Reposit, that's what we've been doing as well, right? Like it works out that like it just makes sense to sell the biggest. Like the incentive's very simple, and the entire industry is just responding to the incentive, and that is put as many kilowatt hours as you can, because the kilowatt hours are subsidized to the point where they pay for the inverter and then they pay for the labor, and so the more kilowatt hours you put on, the more of this additional sort of subsidy surplus you get, which you can pay for other parts of the system, which is why you can get Fox ESSs for $8,000 and $4,000 and whatever else.
Yeah, but I mean, whoever set the subsidy amount at $400 to start off with, when I can buy a Easy Sun home at $350 or so per kilowatt hour, and I get $400 in rebate.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers, they all went by Tesla, didn't they?
Yeah. I think so. And I think Tesla's been very effective at like holding government attention for a very, very long time. They got the brand and they got the nice
They
people.
thought they're the only guy in town, is it?
No, but I think governments are more convinced by sort of the very nice haircutted Tesla with a soft Californian accent than they are
Crispy white shirt with a little red logo.
yeah, that kind of stuff, than they are by like the people on the ground who are doing the work in Australia with Australian accents. I just, I mean, I've seen it over and over and
What about the
again.
Chinese ones who give you a cheap battery? And they were overlooked too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like those stackable batteries from Solax, SunGrow, SIG, like those stackable batteries blew up that subsidy.
Easy Sun Home.
Easy Sun Home.
We love them.
Yeah,
I got them at my house.
That's right. So like these stackable batteries, like they were not foreseen and they managed to like eat the subsidy. And like some people have got some beautiful batteries now as a result. Really? And I think in some ways it kind of worked nicely because like in the kind of like electricity space, these larger batteries that exist now have proven a few things. A, you can get big batteries onto people's houses. B, that if you put the subsidy's too generous, but if you put a generous subsidy on.
I mean, they fixed that now, to be fair.
They fixed it now. So like they're still calling that the subsidy will generate 40 gigawatt hours of storage into behind the meter residences and small businesses. That's a lot. 40 gigawatt hours is a lot. Like that's enough to run like a lot of data centers for 4 hours, right? And I think that's kind of ambition that we should have in the country. Like that amount of storage behind the meter or anywhere really, but especially behind the meter because we're adding that again and then some in front of the meter. That's the kind of scale that we need to like host these data centers and like deliver everyone in Australia should essentially have free electricity. That's why Reposit does it that way. Like the mission is to make energy limitless and free. And so we wanted to see if you could do it. And you can. With these big batteries, you absolutely can. Winter, you need some help.
Okay. You snuck that in nicely, but we will talk in a minute about Reposit because this guy actually gives free electricity or guarantees people that they get free electricity. But we get into that in a minute. I have one more question on this whole battery thing. Yeah. It's great for the old ladies to get their 50 kilowatt hours, but yes. Some of the inverters that go with it, yes. They don't actually get it out. It's like sucking it out through a straw.
Yes.
I had an inspector who told me that he found a 50 kilowatt hour battery stuck to a 1 kilowatt solar system.
I've seen that too.
So maybe the 3 hour free power will fill that battery, but otherwise, it's
It's 9 kilowatt hours or 15 kilowatt hours, not 50.
Yeah. Well, day after day and nothing goes out. Whichever. The big issue I have, they said the batteries have to be VPP enabled, but they don't have to be VPP connected.
Yeah.
And because generally Australian people don't like energy retailers that much, that's why they buy solar and batteries.
Yeah.
And now they should trust them to hand over the keys to their nice Mercedes they just bought for the energy retailer to run the battery. I'm not surprised it's not a really big uptake. What are you hearing about the VPP, and should those batteries be as a condition to you getting 18 grand, should have actually insisted on it to be controlled?
Okay, so I've spoken publicly about this several times. I'm going to say the same thing again. I don't think that there should be an obligation that the batteries must be controlled, but I think that the middle ground between what they've done now, which is like basically must be able to participate in a VPP, which means nothing.
Must be able to technically be able to participate in a VPP.
That's the language.
But that means that if you say, now I want a VPP, that's the end of that discussion.
Well, also, what does must be able to participate in a VPP even mean?
Meaning technically you're finding when you dig a bit deeper, some of them are not that good at it, is it?
Well, it doesn't mean anything. Does it mean has an Ethernet port? Does it mean like if you shouted it in German, then it starts to discharge? Like what does it mean? Does it mean it accepts SMS messages? Like what? It doesn't mean anything.
Was done by some bureaucrats, was it?
I don't know who it was done by.
Not by an engineer.
I don't know who it was done by, but
it sounded like forward thinking.
It's an anti-definition.
Right.
Right. It's a definition that actually means less than no definition. And like and I can understand. I suspect it was Smart Energy Council, like providing that language.
No. We're not nobody's.
I'm not bagging anyone
in this program. We only throw the people under the bus that we don't like. All right. So the Smart Energy Council and John Grimes and Nigel Morris and all those people that we like. They were not involved in anything with the battery rebate that now is found out not to be working, all right? That was all done somewhere else.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that you cleared that up for me. So then what I think is that you're right. Like people get solar and batteries partly as a response towards like, I don't like the retailers. Like it's a very, very low trust environment. I've said this before, continues to be a low trust environment. And so, yeah, you ask somebody to hand over the keys and then they say, look, I'm not really doing that for you. Like, no. I think that part of the problem though is that people so most of these batteries have been installed post-winter, right? Like they started getting installed sort of in July and then we've had summer and now we're going into winter. And I think people are seeing sort of low electricity bills, but I think most of that is the solar. Because I get a feeling, just from what I'm seeing around the place, that a lot of these batteries aren't being installed properly. And that if they are...
What do you mean they're not installed properly? This is Australian tradesmen.
Just some data that we've got from the field on how these things are the CT clamps in the right spot, are the portals being set up, do they have the right tariffs in them? All of this stuff that is not the construction side, but is sort of the control and monitoring side. I think the construction side is one thing, but I think the control and monitoring side really is not being done very well at the moment. And what people will see is that their 50 kilowatt hour battery may not get them no electricity bills over winter. Maybe because the inverter's too small. Maybe the solid isn't like big enough to fill the battery. Maybe the battery doesn't know how to discharge all the way. All sorts of different things can happen.
Actually, that's a good point because that's just happened to me.
All right, well, there you go.
So what's happened is on my rental property, I had the tenants, I had solar, and the bill was relatively low, $100 3 months, all right? And then as the feed-in tariff dropped, suddenly my bill's gone up to $450, $500. I go to the tenants and say, listen, guys, I'm already giving you a free solar. I got to put the rent up because I've also given them electricity. It's a very, it's my social project kind of thing. I help the tenants. And I said, I've got to put the rent up. And they go, oh, I can't afford living here, been here 35 years, please don't. So I had a good idea. I got an Easy Sun Home battery onto my house.
Yep.
And voila, I was back to $100.
Yeah.
But now I'm noticing my solar on the top isn't big enough to feed the battery because I've got 320-watt panels and it's a 6.5 kilowatt system.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting at 60%. By the end of the day, is the battery full? And overnight, I suck it all out. And now from maybe 5 o'clock onwards, I'm paying.
Yeah. So this is what's going to happen.
And looks like it's getting worse in winter.
It will get worse in winter. So I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to have this sort of like moment where people are going to start getting bills again after installing these big batteries. And I think it's going to coincide with when they lift electricity prices. They always announce it in May for 1 July start. And I think there will be a general increase in electricity prices anyway, maybe because of this Iran thing.
But they said the wholesale price in Victoria is falling.
Wholesale price in Victoria probably is falling for the moment. Looking historically backwards, I think that we saw a moment in June last year, 2 price events in the wholesale market that we hadn't seen anything like before. And it was 5.5, 6 hour, very, very high prices. But the first sort of 3.5 hours, the prices were about 50% of the total of the full market price. And in the last 2 hours, it went to 100%. And that's the gas guys setting the price. And so the gas generators are generating less and less for less and less time because there's more and more solar and batteries. So when they do generate, they need to make all their money back. And when they set the price, they looks like they're taking the opportunity to really set the price.
Is that called manipulation of the market?
Not really. Like they've got to maintain these assets and they need to run them and we need them there. But if they've got less hours to run in the year, then they need to like still pay for the same asset. And so as a result...
But because gas, when it's the highest, it sets the price for everybody else.
Correct. Everyone else.
So we're paying heaps more for electricity then at that point. At that point. And the retailers, the electricity retailers insulate customers from that most of the time. Not Amber, but that's a choice that Amber customers make to be exposed to that and other wholesale things like local vaults. But the job of the retailer is typically to smooth those things out. But what happens is like they have to smooth it out by sort of like lifting the prices all the time. And so you get these sort of like... But that'll make battery people and yourself in the VPP game fairly happy, wouldn't it?
Yes. So I would just be blunt. Yes. Yes. So like I'm expecting winter to be relatively lucrative.
Right. But what I don't get is if all these batteries now in the system and they're all available to kind of put downward pressure, wouldn't then the price spike events be less and less?
Yes, that will happen. But the problem with batteries is that they're not generators. They just move energy in time. But the energy has to be there. So what we saw this summer was lots of batteries in the system, and we saw like a really, really like low average price for electricity all summer. And that was like the batteries coming in and all the solar coming in and the gas almost didn't have to run. There was a couple of like relatively high price days, but not much. I think it was like down 20 or 30%.
So Chris Byrne would have had really good sleep.
Yep. And well deserved. However, in winter, we have a problem because solar's about 30 to 40% effective. And
Meaning we produce, 30 to 40% of what we normally produce in summer?
yeah.
Wow, that's a lot less, isn't
Well,
it?
because the sun's lower in the sky and it's like, as a result,
Less hours.
less hours. And so now all those batteries that were full and able to discharge into these peak prices, they're not going to be full because the solar isn't like, especially in winter.
The engine isn't big enough at the front.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, what
Like
energy?
what I'm
Where's the
finding on
energy
my
coming
system.
from? That's exactly
Yeah.
right. But we're going to see this across the system.
Ooh.
And so the gas guys are now going to get to set the price all winter. Now, we saw it happen last winter as well. We're going to see it happen more this winter. And I think that, like, I don't know what gas contracts are doing at the moment because, like, who knows what's happening with anything to do with fossil fuels at the moment. But
I think there's one direction. I think it's up.
it's probably up. So,
Fossil fuels in the middle of this war, of course it's up.
Yeah.
So if gas goes up, what does it mean for electricity prices?
So my punt is that electricity prices, wholesale prices will go up as a result of the war, as gas is used to increasingly fill those gaps. Now, the other thing that I find annoying is that there's a lot of storage out there that just will not be used. A good chunk of those 50 kilowatt hour batteries aren't going to have energy in them all winter. And they need energy in them so that then they can deliver that energy.
They'll have a little bit. You just said 30, 40%. And with old ladies on 50 kilowatt hours, 30, 40% is probably all they need.
Sure, but they're running their heaters at the same time as well. So they're running their bar heaters or whatever, the little old ladies, because they don't know about reverse cycle aircon.
They have their air cons already too. Maybe 10 years old, but it's an air con.
Sure. So like how much of that solar is actually making it to the batteries? Probably not a lot. So if you're not charging those batteries off the grid during the day, those batteries are sitting there empty.
Would it make sense then to charge your battery in winter time, maybe in the middle of the night? Have we got extra capacity then?
No, it's middle of the day. Like it's like
No, but like the old hot water heaters that you used to do in
the
off-peak
controlled
or
load
like-
stuff. That was mainly done for like I think network benefit or no, it was done for the coal guys and they did it in South Australia because they scheduled on like Torrens Island or something and they turned all the heaters on. Like it's an interesting story, the whole controlled load story, and it goes back a long time.
Let's leave that one alone.
What
so
you
you're
want-
saying it's got to be in the middle of the day with that solar sharer offer.
Yeah,
is
so
it?
the solar share thing makes sense to a point. I'm surprised.
Except on a rainy day.
Well, or in winter. Like how much additional energy, like I'm going to be very interested to see what happens in that solar to the wholesale price during that solar sharer thing.
Yeah, because from what you've explained just now, in summer it's fine. We've got plenty. It goes anywhere. Please use it on a sunny day. When it's a rainy day, maybe there should be an exception. Can only get that on free electricity on good sunny days. But you just told me in winter, the existing solar systems are not actually matched with the battery capacity that we're throwing at it. And we're going to find out in the first winter that this is the case now. And then just to make the curry a little bit spicier, we throw the solar share off on top of it when we already haven't got enough in the pipeline.
Yeah, there's a lot of things changed all at once. This winter in particular, like I'm like interested, anxious, curious. Like a lot of things are different this winter. The Iran thing on top of it makes it another thing on top. But like the solar sharer thing, you got quite a lot of batteries in the system now, 7, 8 gigawatt hours behind the meter. Like that's a lot. how many of them are actually responsive to wholesale prices? Not many, 10, 15%, something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody's imagining these batteries are sitting there and are part of the game. A lot of people just isolated themselves.
Yeah, most.
And it means the only benefit we're getting is that person isn't necessarily putting stress on the grid. You know,
Wow.
wait, because they're getting it out of the battery. At night, they're getting it out of the battery. They used to get it out of the grid. Now they're not getting it out of the grid. And you do that for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. That'll put down lower pressure on the grid, theoretically. Now,
There was no pressure on the grid at night anyway.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. But at least, I'm writing the rule book for the minister while we did it.
Okay.
But the issue, what I found with my battery at home, I was in Germany. I hear through the news that Australia has some really hot days and they're really worried about blackouts. Now, I got my sister-in-law looking after my house and she's very feisty, so I don't want her to be in blackout. Luckily, I got a battery. So I'm going, look what my battery's doing. My Seek Energy is on Stormwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it did?
Mm-hmm.
It said, I'm not giving the house any battery today because in case there's a blackout, I want to keep everything for the blackout moment.
Yeah.
While in every normal day, I'm discharging into my house. I'm not taking anything from the grid. That night, which was the most critical night and the most pressure on the system, my battery decided, I'm not giving you anything in the house. I'm taking everything from the grid in a very selfish thinking way for the battery. But if hundreds of thousands of batteries do that at the same time, they will at that point in time just kick the grid even harder just when the grid counted on the batteries to support them.
Yeah, and this is the point of why you need these things to be in a VPP, right? Or at least responsive to the wholesale market signals and to the network operator signals. Because otherwise they do selfish stuff and it makes sense for the house, but it's self-fulfilling. Because if you're worried about blackouts and then all of these devices start charging and holding themselves full, you're going to get blackouts, right? And then, it was so smart, right?
So actually, the battery rebate and all the batteries have ironically increased the risk for blackouts.
But we've seen this now with solar already. Like, this is not an old lesson. This is not a new lesson. This is an old lesson. Solar creates voltage instability because it's making very, very local
Power.
decisions.
Yeah,
it's not really making any decisions, right? But it's not coordinated in any way other than sunshine, make electricity, dump to grid, put in house, sunshine, right? And so we've got this problem where there's just too much solar, and then now we've got minimum system load, right? Where that's really bad. We can talk about minimum system load, but it generates blackouts. It creates big blackouts, like region-wide blackouts. And the government is absolutely responding to it. AEMO's got a new electricity service they're tendering for to try and deal with it because it's a real problem. But we've done the same thing again with batteries. We've created an incentive for them to behave locally without any incentive for them to behave globally. And we're just making the problems worse. It's a different problem, but it's still a very, very local and possibly large scale problem. And the solution was simple. It's not like we don't have the technology. It's not like it hasn't been around for 10 years. It's not like people haven't been asking for it.
What's the solution? Tell me the price.
The solution is that the batteries should be able to respond to wholesale prices and network signals for supply and demand, just like all the other generators in the system do. There's no difference. And
so we gave our batteries too much freedom.
Yeah, we didn't put enough. We didn't encumber the batteries enough. Now, I
Is
understand
it too late?
Why. I don't know if it's too late. I don't think it's too late. I think there'll be some discussions on the evolution of the battery subsidy as it moves forward, and I think those discussions should include.
But I mean, maybe some of the batteries in their software and their makeup don't even have the ability to really be well
Most of them
controlled.
don't. Most of them don't because why you're not going to spend money if you're a battery manufacturer and solar installer. The last thing you want is more complexity, particularly if you're a solar installer, right? And so the general pressure against don't add complexity is absolutely there. And they're advising the federal government, don't add complexity. Do you like your 290,000 batteries? Look how fast we did it. That's because there's no complexity. I saw a survey result from Solaris Finance, sort of came out last week. And there were two interesting things in there I think he surveyed 500 solar retailers at a conference somewhere.
Let's shout out to the solar nerds.
It is the solar nerds, yeah. Imran. And two things came out. One, I think it was like 40 or 50% of solar installers said that regulation is stopping them from going faster. And I was like, okay, what regulation? Like, there's not a lot of regulation. Like, what? Like,
No. I think they're talking about the regulation to claim the STCs, where you have to stand there with a photograph to take it at a certain time of the day.
cash cycle.
That's the regulation. I think that's it's not the regulation on the battery software.
Because there is no regulation on the battery software. It's literally screwed to the wall, turn it on, right? And the second one was that no one's even bothering to try and find good solar installers anymore. They just want any solar installers. And I'm like, okay, that's a race to the bottom. That's the definition of race to the bottom. And I think the problem with that is that there's no signal at all for like, guys, these things need to be like interactive and like providing actual real support rather than just imagined support or coincidental support or just let's not worry talking about support because it slows us down.
But even if they say, look, that there is no, people are just heading for the exit now on the 30th of April. They want to get that rebate going, et cetera, and they don't care. Just give it to me now. There's a price to pay in the future.
I think that price to pay will come in a couple of waves. One of them, I think, is that a lot of these batteries aren't being installed properly. It's impossible to me that we went from installing 100 batteries a day to 2,500 batteries a day.
Without issues.
Like, it's not like we parachuted in a whole bunch of like Polish electricians or anything like that. We didn't get like Martian electricians. Like it's the same electricians. Like,
hello.
Yeah. Like yeah. And like we're seeing that in the data when we go and look.
So, but then when the battery dies and maybe that manufacturer decides to leave, you can't get them fixed.
I think it's going to be impossible to have us. I think it'll be very rare for solar installers to come back to a site because they've got other things to do. Like they'll be rolling out other batteries.
No, but they gave a warranty.
Yeah. No, I think that we're going to see that a lot of that. I think even the batteries won't be dead. They just won't be working properly. People will see that when they get their winter bills and say, hey, there's something wrong. Call my solar installer. Solar installer's not answering the phone.
Oh, no, not the ones in our system. The Your Energy Answer guys that we've vetted, close to 50, right across Australia, been in the game for 13 years, not installing the $4,999 units. Their own reputation in their regional towns depends on them turning up.
Yeah, and I think
so. If you want a good one, go to our installer finder on our website.
You've got the top 40 or 50 in the country.
Yeah, we picked the best ones because I've known them for 15 years
That's
and
right.
they haven't ripped people off yet. And that's why we feel comfortable to promote them.
Yeah, and they're typically still in business because they did that, right? And that's
no phoenixing on this watch.
Yeah, so but there's a lot of batteries being installed by not your cohort. And like you look in the social media, like you look in the SIG Energy or the Fox ESS subreddits or Facebook groups. It's like, hi, my battery's doing something weird. My installer won't answer the phone. Like, story as old as time, Marcus. Story as old as time.
Okay, it's not really nice about this industry to talk like this. Now, I want to kind of pivot a little bit around to your company and Reposit because so Dean has – how long have you been doing this now?
12 or 13 years.
Okay, 12 or 13 years. And he started us – and I get this completely wrong and give you a chance to make me look stupid. He started with a little controller that you had to physically screw to your switchboard. And that was able to control the solar and the battery. And so it allows him to see what's happening in the electricity market and then play in the electricity market. And that extra money at that point in time, should there be any, was shared with the owner, was it, at the time?
$1 a kilowatt hour.
Right. So he offered you $1 kilowatt hour for that kind of thing. The problem he found was that most owners and most installers want to keep the thing very simple. They're not talking much about the racking. They used to talk about the panels and the inverter and make it look all special. And another box on the end and all that just couldn't be bothered. So he didn't really find that the Reposit was embraced by the industry other than some key installers who saw the benefit and they were his heroes, but the rest of the industry went a bit flat. So when you want to have him drunk and discuss solar installers, there'll be a lot of swear words coming out of Dean, because I see a lot of solar installers as heroes who bring people lower electricity bills. But Dean sees them as the people that they could have added extra benefits to the customers, but they never really sold his extra benefits. So he thought, stuff you all, I'm going to do it myself. A lot of other people would have gone, oh, it's too hard, I got this little box, and he would have been by now a software engineer or something, and by now AI would have just made him unemployed. But this guy has tenacity. He has stickiness. You know, you want to go that kind of two compound estropol or that kind of stuff that you use for the gluing.
Oh, araldite.
Araldite, that's him. That's him in the solar industry. When he gets stuck to it, can't get it apart. So explain what you pivoted Reposit to, and when we get the model we suddenly realize how important it is that the battery in the inverter that he uses is bomb-proof, because otherwise he's not going to be paid for the private education of his kids. Anyway, take away. What's
Private
Reposit?
education of my kids.
Are they going to a private school, by the way?
They go to Catholic independent schools.
Oh, well, they're a bit cheaper, but still independent. All right, go for it. Explain what Reposit is doing nowadays.
Okay, so your story is right. We still have the little box. It's a bigger box now, but it's a box. And the idea was that we went through a bunch of solar installers. At one point, we had 432 of them as partners. And they applied this box to when they did a battery install, and they would open up the battery to a bunch of new possibilities. The main headline one being you get the ability to share $1 a kilowatt hour when Reposit controls your battery. Okay. So we did that. We sold lots and lots, thousands of these things, and we controlled them. And what we found is that it was not a great product. And it wasn't a good product for a couple of reasons. One,
But the product that you developed wasn't a great product.
yeah, I'm happy to own that. I'm happy to own it, and I'll explain why. It's that people, the majority, like the mainstream, not sort of your tech bros, but the majority, normal electricity users, like people, they kind of see electricity as like a thing that should just work and cost not much money, and I understand that, and I 100% agree. And when you add this complexity of like, okay, now there's someone in control of your battery, and like if they muck up, then they're going to charge the battery at the wrong time, and maybe I don't get my $1 a kilowatt hour. Like that started to create a lot of like anxiety and like distress for people, especially when you give them an app, and so they can see in real time exactly what's going on. Like that sort of cognitive
Why don't you give
load.
them the app and your mobile number?
Well, they basically did have like they called like the help desk, and then like. So that like basically it's what happened, right? Like people had the app and then they had Reposit's number, and we would always answer the phone, like always. We never would not answer the phone or respond to the email or whatever. And like, yeah, we just get inundated. Even when everything was working beautifully, which is most of the time, people were just like, it's not doing what I'm expecting it to do. And as a result, I'm feeling very unsure and anxious. And of course, when you try to explain, well, actually what we're doing is we're pre-charging the battery because we think that there's going to be a high price later on. They're like, well, can you guarantee there's going to be a high price? I'm like, no, I can't guarantee there's going to be a high price, but you've charged my battery and I paid for that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like work with me here.
You see, nowadays you could have said, oh, but the AI told us, you see. But in those days, this is 5-6 years ago, even AI wouldn't have meant anything to anybody.
I don't think anyone cares if I had said the AI told us or like my mum said it's a really good idea. The response was basically, you're about to cost me a bunch of money. Maybe I get a return, maybe I don't. And I have no control
You're
over
gambling
this.
on my behalf.
A little bit. And I can understand. And so eventually we got to a point where we went, you know what, this is not a product that can scale. And it's like, yes, it's cool, but it's not making people's lives better. It's in giving them something additional to worry about.
I mean, everybody's only on that solar train because they want a cheaper and the battery train now because they want a cheaper bill. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I want to get on with my life.
The tech bro types, your 2%ers, 3%ers are there because like they're trading their crypto and whatever.
The retired
engineer types. That's right. Yeah, the enthusiasts, I think.
Yeah,
I
but
called
the
them on your last
majority of
podcast.
people, they got to clean the nappies.
They got other stuff to do, right? So we went, okay, we learned a lot from that. And then in 2021, we released this no-bill product. And the idea of the no-bill product is that it's going to solve all of the problems that the grid credits product had. So that is, you get a guarantee of no electricity bills. Even if you're, you get a guarantee for 7 years. Even if
no electricity bill.
Yeah, you literally, one doesn't come to your house. You don't
for
get it
7 years.
Yes. Yeah. And like,
that's your product.
yes, but you have to buy a system from Reposit at the moment, at least anyway. Maybe that changes very soon, but for the moment, you have to buy a system from Reposit. Okay, why? So the way we do that is we're using the same controller with, just an evolved version of the same software that we had in 2020 on the grid credits thing. We're trading in more markets and we make money from that. And because we can make money from that, it means that we can guarantee no electricity bills. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but overall, we win.
But I mean, if you charge me, let's say I make it up here, $35,000 to buy a solar and a battery system from you, and you make it so hugey-doochy that, I mean, maybe the next 7 years my bills wouldn't even make up $35,000. Am I going to be ahead? What are you charging?
We price basically about what you would buy
from an installer?
A SunGrow from an installer.
So your price point
it's about the same.
Is very similar
it's the same.
to you just buying the battery,
Yep.
but you allow yourself to put your controller on it,
Yep.
and therefore you have the ability to trade. You can control the battery, and all those benefits when you trade them backwards and forwards will actually give the owner no cost, and you obviously, hopefully, a little bit of a profit.
Yep.
And that's what works, is it?
That's what works.
And how many of those have you got driving along now?
A couple of thousand?
Like 5,000?
No, 2.5, something like that.
2,500?
Yeah.
Okay. And the earlier ones, you were willing to go with any battery that was working.
Yes.
So you got how many total controllers out there?
Like 8,500.
Right. So, but out of this, now the new model is about 2.5.
Yeah.
But in that system where you put a solar and battery onto people's houses, you guarantee them no bill for 7 years.
Yeah.
You got to really make sure that the software and the battery specifically that you put on that house, that it is a reliable product. Otherwise, your whole business model falls over.
Yeah.
So get that right. You're giving people a guarantee for 7 years that they're getting no bill because they bought the solar system from you at a similar price they can buy from somewhere else. But the difference is you've got the Reposit box on it. That means your business model relies on very reliable product.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if you got to go and fix the battery all the time,
Yes.
or the panels fall off, you got no business.
Yeah.
So are you running them all with Tesla, or what batteries you chosen?
No, we use Solex. So I did the numbers. We have expanded our fleet with Solex equipment every year for the last 10, 11 years. So
that's not really a brand in Australia that everybody who wants to be fashionable and use Tesla kind of mentions. I mean, Solex have been in Australia for over 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
They have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
There's been a warranty recall with LG
long
Chem,
time ago.
and they actually put their hand in their pocket.
Yeah.
300 systems installed and replaced, $3 million.
Yeah.
But what was your experience with them?
Exactly the same. So that's our experience with Solex. Our experience with Solex is that they do the right thing. And so it's not the sexiest brand. It's not like the prettiest gear. It doesn't pretend to be German. Like it's Chinese, price point, reliable, good.
Okay. So if you got 2,500 Solexes working in harmony like a VPP, are you in Australia the biggest VPP, the second, the third? What's the size of your fleet?
Well, you do the maths, right? Like it's 2,500 by average power of about 8.5 kilowatts. And then a lot of those systems are between 30 and 50 kilowatt hours because like a lot of them have been installed since the battery subsidy went down, right? So the fleet's pretty big and it's all Solex. Like it's all Solex, wall-to-wall Solex.
Do you get an invitation for Christmas usually to their Christmas party, or?
I think annually I get an invitation. I don't go. I send my guys to China and they go and visit the factories and have the dinners and all that kind of stuff. But there are other people there as well. It's like not just for Reposit. It's like other solar installers that use Solex. It's like it is the unsung hero brand of the Australian electricity system. It cops a lot of flack, undeservedly. They've been around forever. Their gear is solid. We have straight up and down financial exposure. Like the value of my business and my profit and loss statement every month is 100% dependent upon like the reliability and trading performance of Solex equipment. And I would have stopped using it. Like money where my mouth is, I would have stopped using it if that was like...
If it let you down.
Yeah, it was going badly. Absolutely, I would have tried something else.
Well, you couldn't afford to. But my point is this. So there's a lot of cheaper Chinese batteries in the market right now, but a lot of them have just come very recently.
Yeah.
Now, Solex actually got the runs on the board.
Yeah.
And with you running 2,500 batteries, some of them for, what's the oldest one?
Oh, we've got like, there's a Solex installed from 2015.
Right. So
like, remember the big ones? Yeah.
So what, degradation really bad, or what's the going there? Have you checked it?
It's on an LG. It's on one of those 6.5 kilowatt hour low voltage LGs. So like...
It's hard to tell, is it?
It's hard to tell, but the inverter still works. Talks to the controller, charges, discharges, like it works.
Okay, so you got 11-year-old products out there doing nicely. So with those 2,200, 2,500 Solexes all operating in harmony.
And there's a lot more, right? Like in the grid credits fleet, there's that many. But in the Noble fleet, there's that many. The Noble fleet is 100% Solex. It's only Solex.
This is where you purchase the system.
Yeah, this is because like we absolutely have all the risk.
Right.
Like, and we needed it to be bulletproof.
But in the other 4,000 or 5,000 that you control, obviously you got Solexes.
There's lots of Solexes in there as well, and they're the best ones. Like our FCAS fleet, so it's frequency control ancillary services, which is the fastest service in the market. And you got to be like, and you have to hit it. Like if you...
Hang on, I'll need to explain this to normal people. Because the electricity market trades in 5 minutes intervals, when you see a price spike coming through, you can't have gear and software that thinks about it, tries to work it out, finally presses the button, punches you. In the meantime, you already moved past, it's 5 minutes over, and now they're releasing and the prices come down again. So you need fast response time.
This one's way faster than that. This is 1 second response time.
Wow.
And we respond in 300 milliseconds with Solex equipment that's 7 years old. Like all over the place.
Right. So what would you say that basically, I mean, in the early days we had LG Chem, we had Tesla, and we had Solex.
Yeah.
That was pretty well. I mean,
there was SMA and there was like a bit of SunGrow.
Yeah, but I'm talking even a bit
Solar
earlier
Edge.
that. So Solex has been there all the way. It's therefore a proven product, but with the Chinese price point.
Yeah.
So now that we're taking off with batteries, Solex is still kind of that acquired taste, unsung hero, but I hear their product has also improved, etc. What are you taking it that they're not right now getting a 30% market share?
I think it's just I think that solar installers are the channel. So solar retailers and installers are the channel, and the people, the brands that connect most effectively with that channel are the ones that get all the volume. So SIG did a very, very good job at that, and then Fox did a very, very good job at that.
Is that only because it's a really shiny little new thing? And I mean, wouldn't you think if it's shiny little new, you got actually a higher risk than something?
No, I don't think it's shiny and new. I don't think it's that. It's how effective they are at wining and dining, at like what their brochures are like, their install experience. Like you got to remember the solar installers and the retailers, their incentive is to sell it and install it as quickly as possible and go and do the next one as fast as possible. Their incentive is not to like guarantee you no electricity bill. And so as a result, like Solex they're an engineering-led organization. And so their gear is like robust and performant and reliable, but solar installers don't care about that. Solar installers care about how easy is it to like to put on the wall, how fast is the commissioning process,
how shiny is the brochure,
and the solar retailers care about, does it sound like it's from Germany, like SIG, right? And like, can I sort of gloss over that it's all Chinese gear as well and like get past that objection handle? So
I mean, even Fox as a name is a bit like, I always thought, because there's the Fox News channel. And
yeah,
all of
Fox
that.
learned. Fox, half of Fox is Solax. Like, that's what happened. Solax, like a chunk of the Solax people left and started Fox in the massive Chinese nickel company, Tsinghua. Like, Cody Hua went from being the country manager of Solax for Australia to being the global account manager for Fox ESS.
Right. Well, all these intricacies. So, look, in a short and sharp, we actually think the Solax is a good battery. They have a solid product. He's got 2,500 that he literally owns himself, 2,500 units. Obviously, they're one day going back to the owners.
No, the owners always own them. Like, they're not our gear, they're the owner gear.
Right.
Yeah, they're not leased or anything.
But you're responsible for no bills.
yeah, I've got to guarantee no bills. So I have to fix them, I have to do all sorts of stuff, right?
I mean, with that no bill thing, I mean, if all the bills go to your house,
Yeah.
you got two people there sitting there opening the bills all day?
There are people that open, like, a lot of them come electronically, but yeah, there are people that have like piles of envelopes on their desk at work, yes.
And do you sometimes lose out on them? Like, meaning you actually have to pay out of your pocket to
absolutely.
pay the bill?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So as long as overall it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a
wow.
complicated business.
Right.
Yeah.
So look, so there's a bloke who's got 2,200 Solexes, end controls maybe another 1,500, sees them in the market and really sees that they're working.
I wouldn't have chosen Solax for the no bill product if it wasn't the best performer on the previous product in the grid credits fleet. Just would not have chosen it.
Right. Okay, well, so if Australian consumers are looking for a battery that actually has been in Australia for 12 years, is at a fair price point, delivers even in that VPP space, and I think they're looking a bit more sexy nowadays too.
I think the gear looks beautiful now. So, like, I put Solax gear on all my VIP customers. I used to like put like Enphase and SolarEdge and whatever. Now I just put Solax gear. I put the Pros and the Ultras on, and their 5.1 and 3.6 kilowatt batteries are nice.
No.
Looks
now,
nice.
Without mentioning brands, because we're a small channel, we can't afford to be sued.
Okay.
But have you also picked sometimes a battery that had the right reputation and maybe European heritage and all that, and then you're actually still running around now trying to find parts and all that? Have you been disappointed by some of the batteries that you picked in the early days?
More the inverters than the batteries. Most of the batteries were LG Chem. So it goes kind of without saying the LG thing was problematic. I think that everyone knows about the LG recall thing now. But LG had the market. Like, you were there for it. Like, LG Chem.
By the way, I was with LG Electronics, not with LG Chem. Don't write to me. Don't blame me. I told LG not to give their name away for free to assist the company. There was Audi in VW. I worked for VW. The problem with the battery was Audi, just to make it clear.
Yeah. And so, like, but they had the whole market. Like, it was Tesla and LG, and that was it. Right? And so now we've seen recalls on both of those. Like, total recalls on the Powerwall 2 and total recalls.
Oh, it's Powerwall 2 is a total recall, is
Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Is it not total recall? I think it's total recall.
No, we're not sure about total recall. Again, I don't want to be sued. And Tesla has handled the recall
Yes.
very well.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
And so is LG, to be fair.
Yeah, but a little bit slower.
Oh, and like the scale of it,
Yeah.
crazy.
$50 million. Lucky it was a big company that was backing the battery. Anyway, okay, so we got that. So you rely on the Solax. So would you actually let us come to you, to Canberra, and look at one or two of them?
Yep. You can. I mean, we're installing them in Sydney. Everyone's installing batteries, like, hell for the leather at the
Crazy.
moment. Yep. So, yeah, anywhere you want to come and look, absolutely. Like,
And how did you make sure, because the install is quite important, isn't it? You could
Yeah.
have the best battery in the world. If
Yeah.
you put it on the western wall, fry it every day, it's not going to last.
yeah.
So have you got your dedicated installation fleet, have you, of people that do your work?
Yeah. So we have a panel of installers in each sort of LGA, I guess, and they have to be pretty good, because it's not like they can install the battery and then run away and then it's the customer's problem. It's actually not the customer's problem. Now it's our problem because we're guaranteeing them no electricity bill. So even if their solar and battery doesn't work or does the weird stuff or is not under control, we're still paying their bill. So the difference here is that we have very, very clear incentive to pick very good gear and B, install it properly. And so what's our downside? We can't use the vast majority of the installers in the market. We have to.
Well, they probably don't want to work for you either because at the moment they're making big bucks.
Yeah, and it's too complicated. We make them crimp an Ethernet cable and we make them hang around while like we check that everything works the right way. And like people are like, no, mate, I've got better things to do than like that.
But that would have been then a bit of a difficulty for you too in this time because I know a lot of solar companies lose their best installer being poached by the company next door who promised them 20 grand extra. So, I mean, you must have gone through that same challenge too, is it?
Yes. We subcontract all the installers. So it's a panel of subcontracted installers. And, you know, we don't mind if one of our great installers installs for somebody else as well. That's fine. So, yeah, like our capacity to install things gets harder and the prices go up, and that's what we're seeing across the industry.
So you've been asked to pay a bit more for installs
Oh,
too?
absolutely. And like there are some systems we're just not going to get installed before 1 May. Like
that means you take the loss, is it?
Of
the lower rebate.
It means that we have to work out what to do with that. Like, and we're going to try hard to find installers. Like, but
Right. These are the challenges when you have a boom and bust. Now, pretty well to wind it up, we still got about $5 billion in the pot to spend till 2030. But now the Iran war, are we allowed to call it a war? Or
is it a war? It's for war, right?
Well, if you bomb a ship that's on an exercise somewhere else in another country and doesn't have any weapons in it, and you blow it to smithereens with a torpedo and kill 100 people on it, how can you still call it anything other than a war?
Yeah, it's a war.
Yeah. So the Iran war, that's put an extra pressure on pricing and interest rates. And the Treasurer is running around really hard to find savings. And there's this juicy $5 billion sitting there where we still have discussions sometimes if it's the wisest way to spend the money. Is that battery rebate going to last?
I don't know.
Look at the politician here. You always have an opinion.
I have an opinion. Here's my opinion. My opinion is that it's not money well spent. Like,
you're benefiting from it.
I'm benefiting from it, absolutely. I think that like getting as much storage down into the system now is going to be really, really important because gas prices are absolutely going up. And I think that electrification will get a bit of a kick along as a result of this. Already we're seeing fuel prices go up. People who haven't, I've had people come up to me, sort of like laugh at me for driving a fast EV. Not laughing so much now, right? And I think that like this, like Atto 1, BYD Atto 1s are in the market, Auras are in the market. Like there's electric vehicles now that are like well priced and good. And I just think there's going to be a lot of EVs sold. And once you buy an EV, you're like, well, I can fill it up at home. So I think that and when you start filling it up at home, then all of a sudden you start thinking about solar, which now you start thinking about batteries.
You're giving me all reasons why the battery rebate should kind of keep on going because it's benefiting all these people who are smart enough to move away from oil into electricity.
I think that I feel weird saying it, but I think the battery rebate and the EV rebate actually is going to be more important now than it was 3 or 4 weeks ago before, the missiles started flying.
So therefore the message to Treasury is don't touch it, isn't it?
No, I think it needs modulating so that
Don't touch it.
I think it needs the batteries, I think there needs to be some stronger performance standards or like controllability requirements or something. I think that needs to be there because
you say we should learn from the first 250,000 we've installed,
absolutely,
and modify the program to get more general benefit for the grid.
I think that the battery subsidy and the EV subsidy can be nation building rather than just like electioneering. I think it's a good policy.
Meaning winning votes.
Winning votes, yeah. I mean, call me a cynic, but like it's a beautiful policy. And the solar share thing is another one, right? I think it can be nation building. Just a couple of tweaks here and there, and I think it's actually like really good policy. And if we have to take a couple of cuts at it to get it right, that's fine.
Okay. So look, I'm not taking a cut yet, but I will take it in the future. If you're looking for Dean as the energy minister to help you to tweak these policies, he charges himself out at $1,000 an hour. I get $100 for referring him, but he will be able to improve the solar sharer, the battery program, as well as the EV subsidy program to create a higher nation building benefit of those. So look for Reposit, give Dean a call, and when he's the next speaker at your event, he will charge you a decent amount and I will take a cut.
I don't need more work.
You would be a wonderful person on boards.
Oh, I don't know. It depends on who you ask.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's actually true. He has an opinion.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't get listened to, he tells it to you again and again and again till you listen to him, because he usually has a good point. Look, it's been a pleasure. It's been a whirlwind talk, but I wanted to kind of get and finish off with a last one. And by the way, we're not sponsored by Solax, but I find it amazing that we actually got a battery of a cheaper price point that has been in Australia for 10 years plus, runs 2,500 of the homes he controls, and he doesn't have an issue with. So, I mean, you couldn't get a better endorsement for the Solax Power batteries than actually in the ground, in the running, in the proof of the pudding, and this guy's business depends on it. So would you actually endorse them? Are you willing to?
Absolutely. Like, it's good gear. Like, I endorse it every day. Like, when my designers specify these things in, I'm endorsing it. And they've been doing it for 4.5 years on this product now. So there is literally not one no-bill system that is not powered by Solax.
But I mean, what I'm realizing is when in April the rebate drops a bit, okay?
Yeah.
It's going to get harder to sell the $25,000 batteries.
Yeah.
And especially when we're talking January 27 and then each year it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people in the solar retail space would look for a good, better, best option.
Yeah.
And let's say they put the Seek and the SunGrow and the Tesla up to the best. But I could see the Solax sitting solidly in that better category. And I don't understand why more solar retailers wouldn't consider them.
I just think there's a misalignment of like the value that Solax delivers is for the person who cares about the long-term operation and reliability of the battery. That's not the solar retailer or the solar installer, but it is Reposit and it is the end user, the householder.
Yeah, but you possibly don't want that battery to become too popular.
I worry about this. I worry about this conversation.
Because he is used to go to the retailer's warehouse and just pick up 10 batteries and they're still available.
Yeah.
If we make the Solax too popular, he's going to have to wait for them and then he's going to ring me and abuse me.
No, I'll call Solax and say, listen, I did you a huge favor. Can you, like
that extra container
that's right,
is mine.
I'm in priority. Yeah, that's right. On the next ship.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully there was something in it for you. I know that when Dean comes, it's always a whirlwind full of energy. I really appreciate you making your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please support the channel by liking the video, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, and check out all our other videos. Want more energy answered? Visit yourenergyanswers.com for quality energy products, tools and calculators, and find your quality local installers. You're still here? I'll see you next time. Bye.